Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is a stock talk for May 13th. This is the SPY intraday chart just to show you how much we've dropped from last Friday. Last video, it wasn't to anyone's surprise, I hope, or major surprise, that on Friday, after great enthusiasm, which was what we saw on May 3rd, followed by a Monday in which we had a major drop. You can see this was the Friday, followed by a gap down and fell, and this was last Friday and followed a gap down and we fell as well. So this was a pretty wild day. But first, thank you everyone for actually commenting on the last video. Read through everyone's comments, so we'll get through one of your tickers, and I greatly appreciate everyone coming back and commenting and hearing me out. So let's talk about what's going on SPY on the daily time frame. So in the last video, we talked about how the market is resilient, but also has the ability to come down to the 281 level to get tested, because we did not test that last week. Here's the 281 level. This is more or less a range. So if one were to say, okay, this is a range of support, then you would say that we are at near-term support, and you would say that, okay, we could be either close to a bottom or at the bottom before a reversal. But in order for a reversal to occur, we need to see signs of a reversal first. So the question here today is, was today a sign of reversal? And the answer is no, it's not. It looks like it's just a continuation move down below. And you can see this is how tricky the markets can be. Here is Thursday and Friday keeping over the 50 period moving average, and then all of a sudden the markets blew a fuse and we gap lower and stayed lower the entire day, and this is what the markets like to do. So my point here is, be a little bit cautious when there's great enthusiasm or great pessimism going into a weekend, because that is sometimes, in a lot of the cases, what I've realized is it flips around to the opposite spectrum by Monday. And so just be a little bit careful, and this is where we are right now. Now, I have to point out this, that while we are at a support, I did not like the idea that we closed below my support line. So even though this might be a tight range, I don't like the idea that it closed below the support line. I also am looking at the 200 period moving average, which is close to $277, to act as a major support. So that is still close by. So let's just say, for the purpose of this, that $277 to $281 is the support area where I'd be looking for in terms of support. But let me just say that if this 281 level doesn't hold and starts breaking, 277 is a very achievable target by then for broad markets, because it's so close by. Now, when we look at the weekly time frame, which we've talked about in the past, last week we closed the week red, and what I said was, a red week is not necessarily a good week, right? While the market is resilient, having a red close isn't necessarily good. So we can certainly see more downside action. And now when you look at the weekly chart for the S&P 500, you can see that we're closing in on the 20 period moving average, and we're also closing in on the 50 period moving average as well. So once again, when you look at this chart, we see support levels nearby. So we do expect some sort of reversal in the near future, I think. But the question is, where will it happen from? Okay. So it's just the start of the week. We can and have the ability to come down, form a large tail candle, and then move higher and close near where we started at the beginning of the week. So do I like how we started at the beginning of the week? Obviously not, right? Since we gap lower. Obviously, I don't like the way we started the week, but it doesn't mean the end of the world for broad markets. So that is the daily time frame, and I think a lot of people continue to be worried at all-time lows, but I would just place emphasis right now at the near-term support at the 200 period moving average. All right. So that's the S&P 500 for everyone. Let's take a look at TVIX. So same story with TVIX. When you see, we had this massive push. Now we came down to where's the 20 period moving average, and today we're looking to be moving higher. So when I look at this, I would pay more attention to the VIX, which is the volatility index, and see that for the most part, the VIX was not able to overcome last week's high, at least, of around 2330. So we'll be placing emphasis on that point because that was last week's high. If we can overcome that high, then that will be a different story altogether. But so far, we're still below that level, so we'll have to leave it at that. Again, I like to tell the members this, that the VIX over 20 is generally unsustainable in terms of a medium to long-term trend. Let's take a look at crude oil. So crude oil initially was up quite a bit, got rejected off the 20, and now you can see we're still over the 200 period moving average, but we closed pretty negatively today. Still going to keep this on the list given the potential for a market recovery in the next few days. So I'm going to keep this one on the list, even though we're looking like we're breaking below the support. But if we expect broad markets to rally, at least if from the 200 period moving average or somewhere along those lines, then we expect crude oil to be moving higher as well. So keeping this one in terms of support or resistance, we'll keep this one here for now. But if you were waiting for a confirmation, in my opinion, you would wait for this to actually pop over the support line. And if it pops over, then that would be a better sign for crude oil. So short term, it looks like it wants to move lower, but if it climbs above, I think that's a great way to look at crude oil and the bullish nature of crude oil in the next few days. When we look at natural gas, we also talked about the idea of how natural gas short term looks pretty bullish. You can see here on this day, we kept over the 20 period moving average. We went higher, still retest the 20 period average, and we're still moving higher. We're above the 20 period moving average. So we're continuously making a series of higher lows and higher highs, which we want to see on a short-term uptrend. So this one looks good in the short term, so we'll just leave it at that. There is a resistance up here, but that resistance isn't that strong in my opinion, so I think it can break over quite easily if it wanted to. When we look at the gold futures forecast GC, we see resistance at 1287. Today, we popped definitively above, so for what it's worth, gold looks short-term bullish towards the next resistance of 1313 at that point, or 1312, 1313. So gold looks all of a sudden short-term bullish from what we can see on this chart. Because we popped over the 50 period moving average, we popped over this major horizontal resistance, and so far this is holding up interestingly quite well. While the medium to long term can continue to be lower, this is a short term uptrend at least for gold. Finally, let's take a look at Rizwan's ticker. Rizwan, it's been a long time since I've seen you here, but then it's been a long time since you've seen me on the YouTube channel, so I guess you're right. But Rizwan, glad to see you back as well and commenting. So let's take a look at SFM. I'm thinking about going long. So when you look at this chart right now, let me just take a look. So right now, I need this one to stabilize. As you can see, we had earnings. We had a push down on earnings, right? We went lower. And today, we effectively filled a small gap, it looks like, that was made on earnings. So while this one, I think, looks enticing. Okay, oh, this is Sprouts again. Oh, yeah, you're the one who's been shorting Sprouts, right? I remember that. Was it you or someone else? I'm not sure. But when you look at this chart, right, we need this one to stabilize and I think make a more consistent uptrend before potentially, I think, looking for an entry. But because we can see that it's dipping right now, but maybe we need it to consolidate a little bit. Maybe we want it to reverse. Maybe we need the moving average to be flowing a little bit higher before a possible entry. But what we can see here is support level is around 2091. So 2091, and I think Sprouts is one that doesn't move that quickly. So if I take a look at this, yeah, this is not that much, it's 4%. So it's up to you whether you want to, take a position on this or not. But here's your support level. Your support level is 2083. I think this is pretty well defined. So you're close to that area. I think if we can see a little bit more of an up move or consistency, then that's what we want to see, because today's move obviously kind of went with the markets today as everything kind of plummeted. But if we can see some more consistency to the upside, I think this one certainly has the potential at a minimum to reach $25, maybe even to this area of 26.33. All right, thanks everyone for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Again, there's a Facebook group for you to check out if you're interested. You can subscribe to this channel if you like these videos, and you can hit the like or dislike button, whichever you want to hit, up to you, if you enjoyed this video or disliked it. So thanks everyone. Have a great trading day. See you all soon.